Hi there folks, welcome back to my channel, and for this video I've got another book review for you. Again, a kind of a continuation of my reading challenge, or one of my many. And for this review I am going to be looking at the Penelopiad by Margaret Atwood. I'm a bit of a Margaret Atwood kind of role at the moment. And this one, if you don't know, if the title doesn't give it away, if you're not up in your Greek mythology, it essentially retells the story of Odysseus, who's the hero of the Odyssey. And the Odyssey it's an epic Greek poem, and it kind of follows on from the story of the Iliad, which tells the story of Troy. And essentially with the Odyssey, Odysseus, the main character, has been away fighting at Troy for a decade. Troy falls and he has to head home to his wife Penelope, who gives her name to the book. And essentially the whole premise of the Odyssey is it takes him another decade to get home because he has all these trials and tribulations and things kind of get in his way and stop him from getting back home to his faithful wife Penelope. And she essentially is at home in their kingdom, and after the fall of Troy, when people start to kind of question where Odysseus is, why isn't he home yet when everyone else has gone home, suitors start to show up, essentially to kind of try and win Penelope's hand in marriage, because they all think that she is now a rich widow, and that if they marry her and she dies, that they can, and then her son is dead, and if then they kill her son, then they can inherit the kingdom. So but obviously she knows that this is what they're up to, and she tries to drag it out for as long as possible for Odysseus to come home. And he does come home, and after a decade, and essentially kills all suitors and kills the 12 maids who he believes were treacherous, and we're actually kind of siding with the suitors, and through that wins back his wife and wins back his kingdom. So that's basically the basic premise of the Odyssey. And for the Penelopiad by Margaret Atwood, it essentially is taking that story, taking that well-known story, and kind of giving it a bit of a kind of twist. It's essentially looking at it from more a perspective of Penelope, and it's also telling it from the point of view of the 12 maids who Odysseus killed. So it was like the fact that it is being told from this more of a kind of female perspective. It is kind of quite an interesting way of doing it, especially as a lot of kind of Greek myth, Greek epic poems, essentially is kind of told more from a male perspective, especially as ancient Greece was more of a kind of patriarchal culture. And yeah, so it does kind of give it that interesting twist, and it does kind of make the slaves who were sort of kind of tarnished or kind of painted in a bad light in the Iliad more of a kind of sympathetic twist, that essentially they were being used. They were in a position where they couldn't really argue. They couldn't stand back and say, no, we don't want to do this. We don't want to sleep with you. We don't want to kind of give ourselves to the suitors. it was like, we want to stay loyal. I'm like, yeah, like they were slaves. They had no rights. They had to do as they're told. So at that point is very much kind of brought across, and you do sort of, you know, so I know myself, I was kind of very much sympathetic towards the maids, but I also found myself kind of quite sympathetic towards Penelope as well, because again, even though she was a queen, she was Odysseus' wife. So she was a noble woman. She was a princess of Sparta. So she wasn't a nameless, forgotten figure from Greek mythology, Greek history. But through Margaret Atwood's retelling of the story, it does give her a voice. It does kind of make her more human. Rather than Penelope being this kind of unattainably loyal wife who tries to trick the suitors, who does all that she can to remain loyal to her husband. The way that Atwood has kind of handled the story, it does make Penelope more human, more relatable, more kind of, more than just a kind of one-dimensional character that women could be in kind of older forms of fiction. And it does also kind of play into the fact that in a lot of these sort of heroic epics, the nobles were often portrayed as being very kind of heroic, and that they were connected to the gods. And like, if you will find a lot of times in kind of Greek mythology or Greek literature, especially from ancient Greece, that a lot of the kind of kings and queens and the nobles all tried to claim that they had a connection to the gods through some means. Like there were some who claimed they were descended from Zeus. The Spartans claimed that they were descended from Hercules. So that kind of fed a lot into a lot of the literature. But with a lot of the servants, they were just servants. They were slaves. They weren't important. But I do like the fact that through the Penelopiad, Margaret Atwood has given a kind of a voice to at least some aspect of that aspect of kind of ancient Greek culture. So I'm like, and the way she's written as well does give a very kind of modern feel as well. It's very, again, it's like, I kind of find with a lot of Margaret Atwood's fiction, and from what I've read so far, it's not always linear. It does kind of jump a wee bit. That you could be getting told what's happening pretty much in the present, and then you get told about something that's happened in the past. You get a flashback, then you're back in the present, and then something's happening elsewhere. And even though that can sometimes be kind of confusing and off-putting, I think the way that Atwood deals with it and handles it, it feels more seamless, it feels more natural, it's easier to read. It just seems better handled than some of the other books that I've read that have tried to do this. So, because I think that the way that Atwood has dealt with it is that she's kind of tried to keep it, the language and the descriptions simple. She's not flowery, she's not over the top with her descriptions, and I think that kind of does help, that you're not being bombarded with all this information while the story's kind of jumping about and different things are happening. You're in the past, you're in the present, yeah. So even though the story does jump about a wee bit, it does work. And I have to admit, it's again another book that I can add to my list of books I did finish this year. Okay, it's not a big book, but yeah, I enjoyed it, and I would definitely recommend it if you have read The Handmaid's Tale and you're excited about The Testament, which is the sequel to The Handmaid's Tale, which I will be reading. I do have my copy. I would definitely recommend that you get yourself a copy of the Penelopiad and have a wee read. So I'm going to sign off just now, and if you enjoy my channel, if you like my videos, please click on that subscriber button, please click on the notification bell, leave some likes, leave some comments, and I'll see you all in the next video. See you later. Bye bye.